The story of Canada begins long before the arrival of Europeans. It is a tale that stretches back thousands of years to a time when the land was a vast, untamed wilderness. For millennia, Indigenous peoples thrived across the vast expanse we now call Canada. They were the original stewards of this land, living in harmony with its rhythms and cycles. These communities were incredibly diverse, each with their own distinct languages, cultures, and traditions. Their ways of life were as varied as the landscapes they inhabited. From the Inuit in the Arctic, who adapted to the harsh, icy environment with remarkable ingenuity, to the Haida on the Pacific coast, renowned for their intricate totem poles and seafaring skills, and the Algonquin in the Great Lakes region, who navigated the vast waterways and dense forests with expertise. These First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples were the original inhabitants of this land. They formed complex societies with rich cultural heritages. These communities lived in harmony with nature, relying on its bounty for sustenance and survival. They hunted, fished, and gathered, always mindful of maintaining the balance of their ecosystems. They developed intricate social structures, spiritual beliefs, and governance systems. Their societies were built on principles of respect, reciprocity, and community. Their history, knowledge, and connection to the land are integral to understanding the essence of Canada. Elders passed down wisdom through generations, ensuring the continuity of their cultures. The Indigenous people's relationship with the land was not just about survival, it was deeply spiritual. They saw themselves as part of the natural world, not separate from it. They believed in respecting the natural world and all living things. This respect was reflected in their ceremonies, rituals, and daily practices. This reverence for nature shaped their way of life and continues to inspire many today. Their traditional crafts, stories, and art are a testament to their enduring connection to the land. The arrival of Europeans in the late 15th and early 16th centuries marked a significant turning point in the history of Canada. This period saw the beginning of a new era, one that would forever change the landscape and the lives of the people who inhabited these lands. Explorers, primarily from France and England, arrived on these shores seeking new opportunities and riches. They were driven by the promise of untold wealth, new trade routes, and the expansion of their empires. John Cabot, Jacques Cartier, and Samuel de Champlain were among the early pioneers who charted the coastline and ventured inland. Their expeditions laid the groundwork for future exploration and settlement, mapping out the vast and diverse territories of what would become Canada. These encounters between Europeans and Indigenous peoples were often marked by curiosity and trade. Indigenous communities were introduced to new goods and technologies, while Europeans gained valuable knowledge about the land and its resources. However, these interactions also sowed the seeds of conflict and change. The arrival of Europeans disrupted the existing balance of power and introduced new dynamics that would lead to tension and strife. European diseases such as smallpox ravaged Indigenous populations, weakening their resistance to the newcomers' encroachment. These diseases spread rapidly, causing devastating losses and altering the demographic landscape. The introduction of European goods, particularly metal tools and weapons, disrupted traditional ways of life. Indigenous communities had to adapt to these new technologies, which often led to changes in their social structures and daily practices. The fur trade, initially a mutually beneficial exchange, would soon become a source of competition and dependence, altering the balance of power between Indigenous groups and European settlers. This trade network expanded rapidly, leading to the establishment of trading posts and the deepening of European influence in the region. The fur trade became the driving force of early European settlement and exploration in Canada. The demand for beaver pelts, prized in Europe for their warmth and luxurious feel, led to the establishment of trading posts and settlements by both the French and the British. The Hudson's Bay Company, chartered in 1670, and the Northwest Company, established in 1779, became major players in the fur trade, competing for control of vast territories and access to Indigenous trappers. This competition fueled exploration and further European penetration into the continent's interior. The fur trade had a profound impact on Indigenous communities. While it provided access to European goods, it also led to overhunting, depletion of beaver populations, and increased dependence on European traders. This dependence created vulnerabilities and eroded traditional economies and social structures. As the fur trade declined in the early 19th century, the economic landscape of British North America began to shift dramatically. The once thriving fur trade, which had been the backbone of the economy, started to wane due to overhunting and changing fashion trends in Europe. This decline forced the colonies to seek new economic opportunities and adapt to the changing times. New economic and political forces began to shape the future of British North America. The rise of industries such as timber, shipbuilding and agriculture started to take precedence, leading to the growth of colonial towns and the expansion of trade networks. These changes brought about a new sense of identity and purpose among the colonists. The desire for responsible government and increasing tensions with the United States led to discussions of uniting the British colonies. Political leaders and thinkers began to envision a future where the colonies could govern themselves more effectively and protect their interests against external threats. The idea of a united confederation started to gain traction. The American Civil War, which ended in 1865, served as a stark reminder of the dangers of disunity and fueled the movement for confederation. The conflict highlighted the vulnerabilities of fragmented states and underscored the need for a cohesive and united front. The war's aftermath left a lasting impression on the leaders of British North America. The fear of American expansionism and the desire for a stronger, more unified voice on the world stage motivated colonial leaders to seek a new political arrangement. The threat of American territorial ambitions loomed large, and the colonies recognized the necessity of presenting a united front to safeguard their sovereignty and interests. In 1867, the British North America Act was passed by the British Parliament, uniting the provinces of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and the province of Canada, which would become Ontario and Quebec, into the Dominion of Canada. This monumental act marked the culmination of years of discussions, negotiations, and compromises among the colonial leaders. This marked the birth of Canada as a self-governing nation within the British Empire. The newly formed Dominion of Canada embarked on a journey of growth and development, laying the foundation for the diverse and prosperous country we know today. The path to confederation was a complex and challenging process, but it ultimately led to the creation of a nation that would stand the test of time. Section 5. Building a Nation Expansion and Immigration. Following Confederation, Canada embarked on a period of significant expansion and development. The new nation stretched from the Atlantic to the Pacific, but much of its vast interior remained sparsely populated and largely controlled by Indigenous peoples. The completion of the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1885 connected the country from coast to coast, facilitating trade, settlement, and the transportation of goods and people. This transcontinental railway was a remarkable feat of engineering and a testament to the ambition of the young nation. To populate its vast territories and fuel economic growth, Canada actively encouraged immigration from Europe, offering land and opportunities to settlers from diverse backgrounds. These immigrants, primarily from Britain, Ireland, and Eastern Europe, brought their languages, cultures, and traditions, contributing to the country's growing diversity. Section 6. Canada on the world stage. Wars and recognition. Canada's participation in World War I marked a turning point in its relationship with Great Britain. Canadian soldiers distinguished themselves on the battlefields of Europe, earning a reputation for courage and sacrifice. The war effort fostered a sense of national identity and demonstrated Canada's growing independence on the world stage. The Statute of Westminster in 1931 formally recognized Canada's autonomy, granting it full legislative independence from Britain. During World War II, Canada once again answered the call to arms, contributing troops, resources, and industrial might to the Allied war effort. The country played a vital role in the Battle of the Atlantic, the liberation of Europe, and the development of radar technology. Section 7. Social change and progress, rights and freedoms. The 20th century witnessed profound social and political changes in Canada. The women's suffrage movement gained momentum, culminating in women winning the right to vote in federal elections in 1918. The World War II era saw a wave of social activism and demands for greater equality and justice. The civil rights movement, inspired by the struggle for racial equality in the United States, challenged discriminatory practices and promoted multiculturalism. In 1982, Canada patriated its constitution from Britain, adopting the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The Charter guarantees fundamental rights and freedoms to all Canadians regardless of race, religion, gender, or sexual orientation, and has become a cornerstone of Canadian identity. Section 8. Modern Canada, Multiculturalism and Global Engagement. Modern Canada prides itself on its multiculturalism and commitment to diversity and inclusion. The country has embraced immigration from all corners of the globe, creating a vibrant mosaic of cultures and traditions. Canada has played an active role in international affairs, promoting peace, human rights, and sustainable development. It is a founding member of the United Nations and has participated in numerous peacekeeping missions around the world. The country has also made significant strides in areas such as healthcare, education, and social welfare, earning a reputation as a compassionate and progressive nation. Section 9. Challenges and Opportunities. Reconciliation and the Environment. Despite its many achievements, Canada continues to grapple with challenges and opportunities. Reconciliation with Indigenous peoples remains a pressing issue, requiring ongoing efforts to address the legacy of colonialism and promote healing and understanding. Climate change poses significant environmental challenges, particularly in the Arctic region, where rising temperatures threaten fragile ecosystems and traditional ways of life. Canada has committed to reducing its greenhouse gas emissions and transitioning to a more sustainable future. Section 10. Canada's Legacy and Future. Canada's history is a testament to the enduring human spirit, a story of resilience, adaptation, and the pursuit of a better tomorrow. From its Indigenous roots to its multicultural present, Canada has evolved into a nation that values diversity, inclusivity, and compassion. As Canada navigates the complexities of the 21st century, its commitment to dialogue, compromise, and respect for human rights will continue to guide its path. The country's rich history and diverse population provide a solid foundation for a future filled with promise and opportunity.